I have waited 5 years for this moment. Let's talk about the West End transfer of Hadestown. Also, this is the first time I've ever had like a proper opening night program with the little shiny thing that you can't see because my ring light is ruining it. I've been to so many press nights and this is the first time I've ever had one of these little stickers. It's so cool. I first saw Hadestown in 2018 when it did its out of town tryouts, very out of town, out of country, really, at the National Theatre in London, specifically the Olivier Theatre as part of the Royal National Theatre. And I just instantly fell in love with it. Its music, the expansive nature of that stage and that set. Everything just came together for this absolutely beautiful experience of a show. I went to see it again before it closed, literally like a few weeks later. I was that obsessed with it. And then I had to wait 5 years. 5 years. A Broadway transfer, a US tour, and a pandemic later, it has finally made its return to London, playing at the Lyric Theatre on Shaftesbury Avenue. So, how has the show grown since I last saw it? Does it still maintain everything I loved about it? Let's find out. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie, I talk about theatre. I am the most chaotic theatre person on the internet. I do reviews, I do discussions, I do video essays, and if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. I also now have a merch store. I swear I'll stop bringing it up. It's the description. But let's talk Hadestown. Spoiler alert, it's still very good. It's still very good. I'm still a big old Hadestown fan. Yeah. I think Hadestown is just a fantastic retelling of such a classic story. It takes it in its own direction. It does its own thing with it. It feels so unique to other musicals. You can tell how much passion has gone into every single second of the production of this show. It molds together two classic tales, the story of Orpheus and Eurydice and the stories of Hades and Persephone. And they go together so naturally, so well. It's almost like these two stories have always been together forever and ever and ever. And within that, they managed to bake in so naturally these modern themes and tackle these issues that make this story feel even more relevant to today. They take the idea of Persephone and that story of how she goes back down into the underworld, and for 6 months at a time, the world is dark, the world is lacking light. And they mold that with the idea of climate change. Hades starting to come back from Persephone too early, meaning that the seasons are completely wrong, and we're finding ourselves with even more dark times than before. A perfect allegory for climate change, how the weather is always shifting and changing, and how that's affecting normal everyday people. They use class and the wealth gap, how people in stronger positions like Hades is in this show will manipulate people. And of course there's the anthem at the end of Act 1, which brings up all of the themes of like the alienation of people from other places, these cheap political tactics from people that ring so true through all of this musical. It's a great adaptation of the source material while making it still feel unique and modern. And then it wraps it all up with this story, this classic tale, a tale that we know is going to end tragically, knowing Greek mythology. But it packs so much heart into this story, using that relationship between Hades and Persephone, contrasting that to the relationship of Orpheus and Eurydice. These two different pairs of lovers, one so youthful and free and new, and the others kind of lost, forgetting that melody of their love, and how the young lovers help them regain that love and trust and bond in each other, and how Hades challenges them, tests their love. And we see the doubts in people's minds be really well explored. It's a beautiful storyline that really takes all of these different elements and plays with them. There's obviously the twist as well at the end, which I won't spoil in case you want to go see Hadestown, because my general recommendation with Hadestown is go in knowing the gist, but not the end. It's got such a strong build up to that moment. Everything builds up like it's going to work out, like things are going to go perfectly. And then the rug is pulled out from under you. I feel like every time I see the story, there's more and more I pull out. So many more things that I see in the staging, in the story that feel and ring so true. This is a story that is aged so well, because from the first moments, from the first workshops of this show, a lot of these themes weren't as prevalent as they are now. But it's just aged like a fine wine. It's a fantastically engaging story. It can, in times, be a little bit hard to follow if you're not picking up on a lot of the lyrics, as I've found speaking to a lot of the people who aren't as engaged with the music as me. But nonetheless, once you're in it, once you're fully engaged, this story just shines. So many layers, so well done, so perfectly retold for this type of musical. And then there's the music of Hadestown. Oh, this score that's just infused with this New Orleans style jazz is so good. There's so many layers to this score. There's so many different varieties of songs. It is glorious. You get things like Way Down Hadestown, which is so upbeat. You have like the melodies throughout the show. You have things like chant that are really methodical and machine-like, perfectly illustrating that sense of Hadestown and that world to you. You obviously have the melody that's imbued for the show, that epic, the la 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 la, which is so catchy that it makes perfect sense that this is a melody for the gods. I love the different sounds that each of the characters gets. Something that's a really good example of this is the sound of the Fates. They always have these like really clashing melodies and these really clashing harmonies that sound so unique to them. So a song like Chips Are Down is just beautiful for this. I love the rally sense behind Build the Wall, a song that's become more and more relevant, sadly, the longer this show has existed for. I love the complete 180 at the start of Act 2 when we get Our Lady of the Underground, a much more free song where Persephone, away from Hades, gets to just express herself and be more true to herself. Having that blues jazz feel to it gives this show such a unique sound and brings you immediately into this world that they're creating, as well as just being filled with complete bangers that really tell you so much about every single character on that stage. But furthering that, it's the direction of this show that I feel like the more times I watch it, the more things I see, the more things I pick up. There's so much more that I see in Hadestown now than the first time I watched it. There's so much phenomenal staging in this show. I'll give one example of this, which is the moment where Orpheus and Eurydice are walking out of the underworld. The entire stage is like surrounded and engaged with this darkness. You only see a little hint of Orpheus, and they use the revolves on the stage to bring you round, so only at certain moments you can see that Eurydice is there, perfectly putting you into Orpheus's shoes through the staging of this show. Having her disappear, the revolve going round, and by the time it's gone to the back, Eurydice is gone and you barely even notice it, really puts you into Orpheus's shoes. You understand how he feels. You, as well as him, have that doubt in your mind that they're actually going to escape, they're actually going to go back, they're actually going to get their freedom that they deserve. There's so much in this staging, the little character reactions between each other. Way too much to even discuss in this review, but every single time I watch it, there's something new I pick out, and I feel like that's the mark of some fantastic direction. Rachel Chavkin takes advantage of everything within this staging and produces an absolutely masterfully directed production. One creative choice that I feel like I will admittedly say took me a little bit longer to get used to than I would have wanted is the choice of accents in this production. So obviously we're very used to seeing Hadestown done with an American accent, but this production has taken more of the Wicked approach, or even the Six approach, where the accent of the performer is the same as the accent of the character. This does leave us with this absolutely quite nice melting pot of accents. We have Donald Finn's Irish, we have Grace Hodgett Young's British accent, we have Melanie Barry with her unique accent as well, and I quite like that as a general sense. allowing these characters to feel quite diverse. So if you are going to see Hadestown and you are used to hearing it in an American accent, just be prepared that it may be a little bit of an adjustment for you, getting used to it being done in a different way. But then there's the set design. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. It's a slightly scaled down version of what they had on the stage at the Olivier, but I feel like it doesn't lose any of its charm. I love all the little details, the panels that go up, the band clear and evident on that stage. We have the upper level where Hades and Persephone sit, always staring down on the other members at the start of the show while the action is unfolding. We have that spiral staircase down, and then obviously there's the revolves and the elevator in the middle, which takes the characters right down, slowly sinking down into the bottom of the stage. There's so much about this set that is just absolutely gorgeous. And then there's the set reveal. If it wasn't gorgeous enough for the entirety of Act 1, slowly these walls sink back, slowly revealing this paneled wall of lights and copper, giving that industrial feel and setting apart the overworld and Hadestown. With just a slight change, just a few panels moving back and these stark bright lights running all the way up into the gods of the lyric theatre. It completely changes the vibe and the mood of that set. I also love this lighting design. Of course, there's the really obvious things I can mention, like the swinging lights in Wait For Me that are just as gorgeous as they were when it was in the National Theatre a while back. But also the lighting that they use on the walls, the mood lighting, the reds of Hadestown. It's something I really noticed this time watching, how they backlight this set. Finally, let's talk about this cast. So good. So good. Donald Finn as Orpheus is wonderful. His vocals are stunning. Actually, stunning. I love that optimism about his performance. I love how he's so charming and instantly relatable that it's so easy to fall in love with him. And I love the slow burn of his relationship with Eurydice, played by Grace Hodgett Young. That links very well together. Much colder than Orpheus, but I feel like this show does a great job at helping you understand exactly why. She's hungry, she's a fighter. This is all she's known for her entire life. All she's ever known is how to hold her own. But now she wants to hold you. Now I want to hold you. I think there's something so endearing about seeing someone with so many walls slowly start to see that melt. And I think that's exactly what Hodgett Young channels in her version of Eurydice. You understand, sadly, exactly why she says yes to the offer, exactly why she sells herself and goes down, way down, Hadestown, way down under the ground. And the pain at the end of that twist, oh god, the way she delivers the final Orpheus is just heartbreaking. Melanie Nabari is probably one of my favorite parts of this show, playing Hermes. I love the gender bend version of Hermes. Honestly, what was really surprising to me is that despite from one mention of Mrs. Hermes, the rest of it's gender neutral. Non-binary Hermes when? Please and thank you. Because apart from Mrs. Hermes, that's me in the opening number, the rest of the bits that are typically done as Mr. Hermes have been changed to Excuse Me Hermes. So on the whole, Hermes is actually fairly gender neutral. We love to see it. Melanie Nabari channels that narrator. She instantly engages you with her presence as she enters from the start. I absolutely adore her delivery of the moment where she turns to the whole cast, says all right, they respond, and then turns to the audience with that cheeky smile, knowing that you know what to do. You've seen it. And does it with you all as well. Engaging you into that story, bringing you in, making you feel like you're a part of it. And I think that smile and that wink and that charm just makes her so perfect as Hermes. She comes across as this really warm presence that really makes you believe that she would take Orpheus under her wing, that she would see through his life, that she would help him. But then there's Persephone. Oh my god, Gloria. Gloria. If I had an Olivier in my hand right now, it would be given to Gloria because the things that glorious portrayal of Persephone brings is that pain, that discomfort. You can tell just through her mannerisms when she's speaking to Hades, that delivery of the line, "You're early," that like spite. You can tell through all of that, before anything else, how fractured the relationship between her and Hades is. There's so much weight to that relationship that she plays with so magnificently. And then there's her vocals. Oh my god, her version of Our Lady of the Underground. There has never been another version of that song in my mind when I was watching that. And I love how this version of the show, I assume that this was a change that they made for Broadway, doesn't have the workers in that anymore, and has her instead delivering that almost entirely to the audience, giving her that one moment of freedom where she really gets the chance to let loose. I really enjoyed Zachary James as Hades. I feel like there's a part of me that is still a bit like, oh, I wanted him to be a little bit more bassier. But when we get that, oh, it just hits. It's how long Zachary James does it with like the full bass, and you just get that power, that status in his portrayal. It's fantastic. He plays with the material so well and really gives Hades this sense of arrogance, which is so perfect. And it's so wonderful to see the twist, to see the change in Hades when Orpheus sings his song. And then there's the Fates. Oh my god, the harmonies from these performers, absolutely gorgeous. And there's trans representation, which you always know I am 100% on board for. We love to see it. Madeline Charlemagne, Bella Brown, and Ali Daniel all bounce off of each other wonderfully. Their harmonies are so strong and distinct. I love their presence through this show, always meddling, always trying to bring the worst out of everyone. This cast just absolutely blew me away, as well as the entirety of Hadestown. Every time I get to see Hadestown, it is a joy. I just fall in love with it more and more and more every time I see it. It is a gorgeous piece of theatre that explores so much, feels so relevant, despite retelling a story that has been told time and time again. It molds these different Greek legends into one story that flows so perfectly, infused with this gorgeous jazz music that just emboldens this score and emboldens the show as a whole. I'm so glad it has taken its rightful place in the West End. But what do you think? Have you seen Hadestown? Let me know all your thoughts on the show in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me out, it helps out the channel. Here's some links to my videos on screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you want to drop me a follow over there. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!